In the heart of Westlands, where glass towers kiss the sky and Mercedes purr in parking lots, a girl named Amina walked barefoot through the gates of Al Harbi Holdings, her only pair of shoes tucked under her arm. She wasn't here for a job interview. She was here to scrub floors, change bed linens, and pretend like her dreams didn't matter. And that's when she saw him. Khalid Al Harbi, Arab billionaire, sharp suit, sharper eyes, the kind of man who made people stand straighter, speak softer. But when his gaze met hers, something strange happened. He paused, he stared, and for a moment, the air between them felt heavy, like time itself had stopped to listen. Khalid wasn't the kind of man who got distracted. At 32, he was already the youngest executive director of Al Harbi Holdings, a multi-billion-dollar investment empire rooted in Dubai and branching across Africa. He had flown into Nairobi for 3 days, just enough time to finalize a property deal and inspect the new office his team had set up. His mind should have been on boardrooms and profit margins. But he couldn't stop thinking about her. That girl, that maid, barefoot, skin glowing under the sun, hair tied in a loose scarf, eyes sharper than diamonds. Later that evening, as he sat in his luxury penthouse overlooking the Nairobi skyline, Khalid replayed the moment in his mind. She hadn't looked afraid, she hadn't looked impressed either. She looked unmoved, and for a man used to people breaking into smiles or nervous chatter in his presence, that felt new. And real. He turned to his assistant. "Who's the girl cleaning the executive wing?" The assistant blinked. "Which one, sir?" "The one who looked like she didn't care who I was." That was the moment everything shifted. Amina Njeri was 24, but life had aged her faster than the years she carried. She shared a single-room Mabati house with her younger brother in the slums of Kibera. After their parents died in a road accident 5 years ago, Amina took on every job she could, washing clothes, cleaning houses, and sometimes, skipping meals so her brother wouldn't have to. She didn't believe in luck. Not anymore, not after the landlords, the fake job agents, the promises that led nowhere. Working at Al Harbi Holdings was the best gig she'd landed, clean floors, no harassment, and lunch included if she finished early. That morning, she hadn't meant to make eye contact with the boss. But something about his gaze stayed with her. It wasn't lust, it wasn't arrogance, it was curiosity, and that bothered her more than anything else. "Men like that don't look at girls like me unless they want something," she muttered, scrubbing a marble hallway until her fingers turned raw. "And I've got nothing left to give." But she was wrong. She still had her pride. And Khalid? He was about to test it in ways she never expected. The next morning, Amina arrived at work to find the building unusually quiet. No chatter, no security guards sipping tea at the gate. She walked in, mop in hand, only to be stopped by the receptionist. "Mr. Al Harbi wants to see you." Amina froze. "Me? Yes. Executive office. Now." For a moment, she thought of running. Just walking out and never coming back. But rent was due next week. Her brother's school fees were unpaid. So she climbed those polished stairs slowly, her heart thumping like a warning drum. Khalid stood by the window, staring out at the city, arms crossed. He didn't turn when she walked in. "Your name is Amina, right?" "Yes, sir. You clean better than my staff in Dubai." "I noticed that yesterday." She stayed quiet. Compliments from rich men were often the bait before the trap. "I'm expanding operations here. I want someone local, smart, grounded, honest." He turned, eyes locking with hers. "I want you to be my personal assistant while I'm in Nairobi. I'll triple your pay." Her breath caught in her throat. A promotion? From mopping floors to sitting in meetings with millionaires? She shook her head slowly. "Why me?" His voice lowered. "Because you looked me in the eye and didn't flinch." Amina didn't sleep that night. She tossed on her thin mattress, her brother's soft snoring the only sound in their quiet room. Her mind replayed Khalid's words on a loop. "Triple your pay, personal assistant, you looked me in the eye and didn't flinch." Was it real, or was it the start of something dangerous? By morning, she had made her decision. She showed up at Al Harbi Holdings in her best outfit, an old, ironed blouse and a skirt with a missing button. She'd tied her hair neatly and borrowed a pair of closed shoes from her neighbor. "I accept the offer," she said, standing firm in front of Khalid. He simply nodded. "Good, let's begin." By noon, the whispers had already started. "Did you hear? The maid is now his assistant?" She must have done something behind closed doors. Khalid always had a thing for exotic girls. Amina pretended not to hear, but the words stuck, like tiny blades, cutting away at her dignity. That evening, she stepped into the elevator alone and caught her reflection in the mirrored walls. She didn't look like a PA. She looked like a girl playing dress up in someone else's world. But she had made her choice. And there was no going back now. The first few days were quiet. Khalid was all business, schedules, documents, negotiations. Amina kept her head down, took notes, memorized names, and made zero mistakes. But silence doesn't last long around people who watch too closely. One late evening, they were alone in the office. The lights were low, the air conditioner humming softly. She handed him a file, her fingers accidentally brushing his. He looked up, held her gaze. "Do people talk badly about you because of this job?" he asked. She paused. "Yes, and does that bother you?" "Not as much as hunger used to." His mouth curved, just a little. Not a smile, just respect. There was something about the way he looked at her that night, like he saw the layers. The grit, the parts she didn't show the world. "I wasn't born rich either," Khalid said after a long silence. "My father was a mechanic in Riyadh before oil changed our fate." She studied his face, unsure whether to believe him. "And now you're offering jobs from skyscrapers," she murmured. His voice was low. "You've got the mind for more, Amina. But you'll have to fight harder than most." She didn't ask why he cared. She didn't want to know. Not yet, but her heartbeat betrayed her. Because she did care. By the end of the week, a single red rose appeared on Amina's desk. No note, no name, just petals so fresh they looked unreal. She left it untouched all day. But the office didn't. "She's sleeping with him. Of course he'd fall for someone poor, less drama. Watch, she'll be pregnant by next week." The stares burned more than sunlight. And when Amina passed by the break room, the laughter stopped. The silence said enough. That night, she stayed behind to finish Khalid's scheduling updates. He walked in, holding 2 cups of chai. "Long day?" he asked. She didn't look up. "They think we're lovers." He placed the chai beside her. "We're not. Should we be?" she asked, not because she wanted to, but because she was tired of walking the line. Khalid looked at her then, for longer than he should have. "Not unless you want a life where everyone tries to break you for loving the wrong man." Amina didn't respond. The room grew heavier. She wanted to believe he was a good man. But good men didn't leave roses on desks when they knew people were watching. And good men didn't complicate the lives of women who had already suffered enough. Still, she drank the chai. Monday morning felt wrong from the start. Amina arrived at the office and noticed the stares weren't just sharper, they were gleeful. Phones buzzed, screens lit up, whispers turned into bold laughter. Her heart dropped. She opened her inbox and there it was. A photo of her and Khalid, blurry but clear enough. Her hand near his eyes on her, a moment taken out of context and spread like wildfire. Attached was a subject line. CEO's African toy gets fast promotion. Is she his PA or something else? The gossip blog had published everything. Her name, her slum address, even her brother's school. Khalid stormed into the room minutes later, jaw tight. "We'll sue. I'll handle it." But Amina was shaking, not out of fear, but fury. "You should have seen this coming," she snapped. "You put me in this spotlight. I never asked for roses. Or looks. Or chai at midnight." His face fell. For the first time, he looked unsure. "I didn't mean for this to happen." She grabbed her bag, her voice low and steady. "That's the problem with men like you. You never mean to ruin girls like me. It just happens anyway." And with that, she walked out. Head high. Amina didn't return to work the next day. Or the day after. She spent the week indoors, ignoring calls, feeding her brother, and looking at job boards she couldn't afford to dream about. The scandal had done its damage. She couldn't walk her own street without someone whispering. Then, on Friday morning, a black SUV pulled up outside her tin house. Khalid stepped out, not in a suit, but in jeans and a plain white shirt. No guards, no press, just him. She opened the door with her arms folded. "I'm not here to beg," he said. "Good, I'm not in the mood to forgive," she replied. But he didn't flinch. "I resigned," Khalid said. "They wanted me to apologize for hiring you. Said I embarrassed the board." She blinked. "So you gave it all up?" "I'm building something new, on my own. I want you to run it with me." Amina stared at him, stunned. "Why me?" "Because you don't want anything from me. And that's the only kind of person I trust right now." She looked past him at the SUV, the cameras that might be hiding nearby. "No. What?" She stepped back, calmer than ever. "I won't work for you. But I'll work with you. If we're equals. No favors. No roses." He nodded slowly, a small smile tugging at his mouth. "Deal." 6 months later, Amina walked into her own office, her name printed on the frosted glass door. Co-founder, Naja Initiative. The program, started with Khalid's funding but built on Amina's vision, trained and employed young women from low-income neighborhoods. No one cleaned floors unless they wanted to. No one was judged by their shoes. The rumors had died down. People moved on, as they always do. But Amina? She hadn't forgotten a thing. Every step she took now was deliberate, rooted, earned. Khalid worked from the background, true to his word. No interviews, no public hand-holding, just support, quiet, consistent support. One evening, as they stood on the rooftop of their modest new headquarters, Amina handed him a folder. "What's this?" he asked. "Proposal to expand to Mombasa." He grinned. "Still no roses? Still no chai after 10 p.m. either," she said, her voice soft but steady. He looked at her, not with desire, but with something far deeper. Respect, maybe even love, but Amina wasn't in a rush. She had found her strength, and this time, no one would write her story for her. Weeks passed, and Amina's face started showing up in local magazines, not for scandal, but for success. From slum to CEO, one headline read. She hated that title. It reduced everything she'd worked for into a catchy slogan. But the truth? She had earned every bit of her place. And people were finally starting to see her for her mind, not the rumors. One evening, after a long meeting with new investors, Amina and Khalid were the last ones on the rooftop again. The city below was noisy and alive, but the air between them was quiet. "You could have left," he said, handing her a bottle of water. "When everything turned ugly, I almost did, so why didn't you?" She turned to look at him, calm but firm. "Because I realized something. You were the first man to see potential in me without asking for anything in return." Khalid looked away, as if unsure how to respond. "I think about you a lot," he said after a pause. "Not just your work, you." Amina didn't smile. "Then think carefully, because if you touch what we've built for the wrong reason, it all falls apart." He nodded, slowly, respectfully. "Then I'll wait, if waiting means you'll one day look at me the way I look at you." For the first time in a long time, Amina didn't feel small in someone's shadow. She felt seen, on her own terms. 3 months later, the Naja initiative had expanded to 2 more cities. Job creation numbers were up. Donor funding was rolling in. But Amina was still the same, focused, sharp, and impossible to shake. Khalid stayed in Nairobi longer than he ever meant to. Officially, he was still consulting. Unofficially, he'd built a new life, quiet, clean, far from the games of Dubai's corporate world. People kept asking questions. Are they together? Are they not? Amina never answered, but those who looked closely saw it. The way he waited for her opinion before signing anything. The way she always knew when his tea needed more sugar. Late one night, after another successful fundraiser, Amina was locking up when Khalid walked her to her car. "You know," he said, "if I were any other man, I'd have kissed you a long time ago." She didn't flinch. "If you were any other man," she replied, "I wouldn't still be standing here." He smiled, not with triumph, but with peace. "Then maybe one day, when the work is done." She nodded slowly. "One day. But until then, let's build something no one can break." And as they stood beneath the Nairobi stars, 2 people from 2 impossible worlds, there was nothing romantic in the air. Just mutual respect, and the quiet beginnings of a love that didn't rush. Because some stories don't end with kisses. They begin with purpose.